Hello folks, well, it's Sunday of 20 minutes before my first church service, so we'll get on with this Uniden 200, which is absolutely immaculate. And we've got one of these coming up for sale on eBay, which is one out of that batch I bought from Lancashire, and in contrast, you know, ours is very poor looking, but ours does work spot on. So that will be coming up. I did that video expecting that to be first, but no, this is first. So no idea what the date is even, so we'll come back to that. Uniden Uniace 200 17001902. So that really is immaculate. Let's just note for the record it has one side thumb screw. So we're going to be taking all the knobs off, because we're not going to take all the knobs off. We'll start again. We'll take all the screws out because, as you should all know by now, the capacitors in these radios, electrolytic capacitors, now these are 40 years old. There's 4 of them really need to be changed and ensured that the sets don't go out with the originals, because it's only going to end up in tears, and what the last thing you want to do is to blow up the synthesizer, which isn't going to be possible to replace. Although a firm in Brazil did offer me them at 30 quid a pop as long as I took 100. Can really see me selling those at 30 quid a time, even if I did it at cost. Not. Take all the screws out, and let's hope with this immaculate set there's no shenanigans under the bonnet. So bottom lid, top lid. I can't see any shenanigans. You can see some corrosion though. Interesting. It's had both the 220s already done. Well, they look like they've been done. They don't look like the originals, but then I can't see any sign of desoldering. Well, it's had it changed and it's a Nikicom, but why would you put 10 volts in? I mean, that's what would have been in. It's too low down. So I'm still going to change them, because I don't. We put 105 degree rated. These are 85, so yeah, I'm no doubt this is absolutely fine. Let's just put it on the tester, but I'm still going to change it because it's my job to do that. Yeah, I mean that looks absolutely fine, but we're going to change them anyway for the small cost they are. So whip the other one out. They've been done very well. But somebody's just changed like for like and you really want to be slightly upping them. Yeah, 220 at 10 the same. So there's two 470s here we need to get rid of. These affect the audio amplifier, or at least one of them does. And the last thing you want is that to be overloaded. It's an expensive chip to get, MB3712. It takes some pulling because they're glued in as well, which isn't ideal. So both these are 470, one's 16 volt rated and the other's 10 volt rated, so we'll be upping that probably to 25, whatever we buy in for these. It's just cheaper to put 25, 35 volt rated in and just buy them in bulk than pussyfoot around putting like for like in, which weren't really that adequate. So see what that one says. It's reading a bit high, and that can be indicative of coming to the end of its life. Same with that. Right, we'll go and get 2 new parts, or even 4. Okay, so I've done those. 25 volt and 105 degrees. Bit of an overkill, but it's just what we do. Right, so we'll connect it up to the crocodile clip lead. I'm not going to bother looking for a power lead. First thing we'll do, I think I've got 10 minutes left, is we'll check whether PA works. I'll do the VCO when I come back from the first church service, if it transmits, because it means digging the service manual out. Got a Uniden mic. I'd just like to get the deviation done, then we can turn the other test set off. Bit bassy with these mics. We'll probably do the on-the-air test using my test mic, and then we'll move over to this at the end. Right, power supply on. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing 1 2, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. That sounds fine. Switch that, put that over to the other one. Two times 470 at 25 volts, 2 times 220 at 25 volts. Meter lamp works, PA function works, the sockets work because we've proved that, the mic works. Right, let's go into CB. Dimmer works. We'll have it in high tone. Just make sure these are now at full. And let's have a look. We'll put picture in picture on, and we'll have a look at what it's doing on transmit. Notice the damage on the back of the mic. So it's doing 3.1 watts on channel 20. channel 40 is doing 2.9 watts. Channel 1 is doing 3.2 watts. Back to channel 20, and it's drawing 765 milliamps on transmit, and on low power have I pressed the wrong button? Yeah, press low tone. Wow, it's doing 360 milliwatts, not far out there. Deviation on this test set, wallow, he's reading 1. So what we'll do, we'll plug it into the test set and get that test and adjustment out of the way, just in case the Marconi one's lying today. Wallow, 1.5. Miles too low. It's like it's come out of the factory, that. They are labelled, I think it's that one. No, it's that one. Wallow. Wallow, that's spot on. So if you remember, we had 1 and it was reading about that on the other test set. So let's see what it's reading now on this test set. Wallow. It's actually reading a bit high, but it isn't. So it definitely was 1 before. So that's that done. We'll do VSO when I come back from church. Let's look at frequency, though the test gear's not long been on. Now it's not adjustable on these, just needs to make sure it's going to be within the legal limits. So we're looking for 27.79125, 27.79142. It's actually high. Don't know how that can be, but it is. So 27.79142, and it's exactly the same as it's going to go out. Right. Sure why we haven't got a trimming tool on here. But we have now. So go through the transmitter. And I'll disappear off. Right, we're back to high power. Channel 20. I'm going to start here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the PA. That's now in the centre. That's now in the centre. That was already in the centre. That's now in the centre. That doesn't have a core, which is probably how it should be. Well, that doesn't want to fit. That's now spot on 4 watts. So let's go to the channels and see whether we're within 0.1, which is where I'd like it to be. So channel 40 is 3.9 watts. Channel 1 is 4 watts. While we're on channel 20, we'll look at the current consumption, which is now 912 milliamps. And we'll go to the low power, and we're now at 320 still, so see if we can just adjust that. .400 milliwatts, where it should be. It is nice when they are adjustable. We'll just do the RF power meter. I never took a reading before. It's supposed to be in the centre of the red zone. I'm going to just write the word low. And that's now centre of the red zone. So we'll leave it at that, come back to it after my church service. Okay, so the printer's printing, it's actually printing a 1950 copy of Practical Television, which I want to look at personally. If any of you are interested in looking at a 1950 copy of Practical Television, like we've looked with some of the CB magazines, you're welcome to do so. I'll just show you a glance of it at the end of this. Right, so on to the, we're using the realistic service line because it's so good. So it's the 2000 would be their equivalent, so it's that layout rather than the smaller board layout. And it's channel 40 we do the VCO on, so we'll select channel 40. Now there's no reason to think it's been touched. So I think these are negative ground chassis, unlike the Cybernets, which are floating, so just check that. Especially if we can get the meter to stay put. No, it's not, it's a floating one. I'll put it to a coil can as an earth. And just verify we've got an earth connection. Where we are, 13.8. So what they want you to do is in channel 40 transmit, adjust L17, which is that one, to get on test point 1 3.5 volts plus or minus 0.1 of a volt, and the test point is resistor 52. So resistor 52 is the vertical one there. You've got those two capacitors, you've got the green capacitor there, resistor 52, and it's got no paint. All these vertical resistors have got paint on them as an insulation. This has none. So we've got 2.29 there. And receive. Let's go into transmit. So it's 3.8. It's actually slightly out. So we'll deal with it. Especially when the soldering iron warms up. If you overlook this, you can end up with no transmit on upper or lower channels when it's cold or when it's hot. Overshot it a fraction. Check that again. 3.47 will do me nicely. Just going to check it transmits on channel 1. It does. That's fine. Now what they want you to do is to connect to test point 3, which is resistor 33, which is that one there, with an oscilloscope for maximum, and then adjust L18. But in fact what we're going to do is we're going to do it on the Sinad meter when we do the receive. If you're in a situation where this radio, you've got a radio which had extensive modifications that you'd had to remove, and you'd got no transmit and no receive, and you're having to line it up from fresh, then you may well have to do it with the oscilloscope at test point 2. But this radio is working, so you know it's come for a retune. It's not faulty. It's not being messed with. It's not brand new and being lined up. So we can do that with the Sinad meter later. And I think that later is actually right now. So put the service manual to one side. I didn't make a note of that. It is 3.47. And I can't remember where it was, but I think it was 3.9, wasn't it? So let's look at where the receiver is. I keep meaning to take the attenuation off my bench speaker. We'll keep it on the bench speaker. We'll keep it on the speaker on the wall for now, just whilst I get the signal generator lined up. Put picture in picture on, and we'll show the frequency counter. So 2779. One, 2, 5. That's bouncing all over the place with that printer on the same bench as that camera. Actually, we'll have it slightly high because the radio is transmitting slightly high. So that means the radio is very slightly high, which is good because they drop naturally with age. Goodness knows how high this was when it was manufactured then. So right now we need to look at the Sinad meter and we'll just see what we're getting. So I'll change that speaker for the Sinad meter. Which is very quiet because of the silly attenuator I put in. Listening to people who say they don't like listening to the 1 kHz tone, well, they jolly well will have to listen to 1 kHz tone. Right, so for 12 dB we've got 0.58, which I think is better than spec. We'll just look that up. 0.58 microvolts. For 10 dB we've got 0.5, and for 20, if it will do it, is 2.4. Squelch threshold. So we'll do maximum squelch first. It's a whopping great big 1.5 millivolts. And for threshold, it's 0.9. So if I put 100 millivolts on the signal generator, what do we have reading on the meter? It's supposed to be 9. It's virtually spot on, yeah. But it will change when I retune the receiver. So that's correct. Right, so we'll just go through the receiver. we'll start with the detector. I think this is an untouched set, to be honest. And with the fact deviation was only 1, that's spot on. Over to the Sinad meter. So we'll put the attenuation on to about 4 dB, something like that. We'll go through the front end. Tiny little bit there. The biggest signal on for these IF ones. We'll drop that back off again, and then we'll just check this one, which I said would have been done with an oscilloscope test point 3. That was already spot on. So to be honest, I doubt we made any difference. So for 12 dB, we've now got 0.58. For 10 dB, we've got 0.5. Oh, that's where it was before. And for 20 dB, we've got 1.8. So there you go, it's just improved the clarity a little bit. So let's look what it's supposed to do. So how have they expressed this? Sensitivity for 10 dB is supposed to be 0.5. It's exactly what we've got. And the worst case scenario they want is 1. So it's absolutely as it should be. It's not exceptional, it isn't, it's absolutely spot on. Right, I'm going to have my lunch and come back. Okay, so we'll put the speaker back on, and we just need to just finish this off. So let's look where the S meter is. Is it still on S9? It's not now. So with 100 microvolts on the signal generator, just pop that to S9 and do the squelch. So I want squelch to full. I'm putting 100 microvolts on the signal generator. Let's show you the attenuator. Just get rid of some of this clutter. I've got the multimeter there because I was checking the polarity of the speaker wires. Squelch. So I want to turn this preset till the squelch opens. And that's exactly where I want it to be. There's not a hard and fast rule on this, but I like it to be openable from an S9 signal. sometimes you come to a radio and it never ever opens, which is pretty pointless. You want a decent range. So 100 microvolts, is what the service manual says as well. So now we'll check what it's like at the minimum sensitivity, or maximum sensitivity of the squelch. So I've got the squelch now at threshold, signal generator back on. Well, that's worse. Let's try again. .65 microvolts. Good, we're done. What a nice set. Right, we'll put that back together. I'm just going to put some screws in loosely. I just want to clean up the isopropyl with isopropyl where we've done the soldering. I'm just not quite sure about those capacitors which were in, because those two 220 microfarad ones looked like they'd been changed, but there's no sign of them having been changed. So whether or not this happened an awful long time ago, because the set looks untouched, or is it late production one and they decided that those capacitors which they were putting in needed to be better quality? So I'm just not sure. It doesn't matter, they're being changed anyway. I think they're all 46 pence each, even at the quality we're putting in. Right, just want to do that. So we've got, there are those, and there's a bit there has been touched up in the past. We'll have to wait for this to dry before we can power it back up again. Right, so by the time I've put the lid on and waited 5 minutes, that will be it. I'm going to put it on the aerial. Let's put that back on. Right, take it off the test gear, put it onto the roof aerial. Antron 99 or Solarcon 99 or Cadbury's 99, some kind of 99. One Nano Roger. No, Roger. Well, there we go. We're doing on the air test later with that. These are less sensitive than a lot of the sets that we do, which, you know, we some of those binatone 5 stars have been 0.22 microvolts, and as you can see, this is what, 0.55 or somewhere like that. So there is going to be a sensitivity difference. This could be one of the reasons. These are better for bleed over because they're less sensitive. Just polish that with my t-shirt. We'll go over that with a microfiber cloth before it goes back to the customer. So there we are. Nothing actually wrong with it. Did the capacitors, which needed doing. Now these are the age they are. Set's now doing a full 4 watt output. I've dropped all the paperwork on the floor, and hopefully it's landed in the right order. Yes, it has. So 3.1 watt to 4 watts, very quiet transmitter deviation, or very narrow deviation, which affects that. Precautionally done the VCO because it was slightly out, and we've gained absolutely nothing on the receiver other than the 20 dB end, which is 0.58, which is bang on the money where the manufacturer says it's supposed to be. So there you are, Uniden 200. I've already got in the can another Uniden 200 which we'll be selling on eBay I think next week, and that's a much shabbier set, but it performs well. So thanks for watching. I'll just show you that magazine I just wanted to show you a quick glimpse of. There we go, television magazine for May 1951. A compact televisor, says the project. No doubt around that oscilloscope tube or that ex-military piece of apparatus. So anyone interested in going through something like this, we can do so. But I enjoy looking at these, and it's more convenient spiral binding them on modern paper than going through my magazines which haven't been scanned, and you've got very flimsy paper, especially still on rationing after the war. So there we go, thanks for watching, and on the air test later. Other things planned, we've got a Midland 2001 in from our mystery benefactor Alan. Obviously we've got sets to do of our own, like the ones out of the batch from Lancashire. I've got a couple of boxes of video equipment, including a VHS-C player, a home VHS-C player, a portable VHS-C or recorder player. I've never seen one before. I bought that on eBay for a laugh, because I've never done VHS-C camcorders. But you know what? I've got an Amstrad, is it the VMC one? It was a really dreary camcorder, but Ferguson did one with the same innards. I think it was record only, no playback. But anyway, got that for a laugh. We've got a bundle of video equipment. Thanks for watching.